Okay. Hey everybody. I'm at my mom's house. She didn't want to be on camera, so she's over there. And I'm going to talk to her about the swallowing. I'm using her iPad for the pictures, so I'm just going to show you them quick. This is the first one I'm going to show her. And this is the second one with the last 3 phases of swallowing. Oh, that glare is terrible. Okay, there you go. So just so you know, that's what I'm showing her. Okay, so I'm going back to the first picture. Okay, Mom, I want to help you understand what happens when you're swallowing. So this picture kind of shows you there are 4 main phases when you are going to swallow. The first one is called the preparatory phase, and that includes all of the things that you can do on your own. When you're chewing or moving the food around in your mouth, that's part of that first phase. Some of the important parts of the body that are working during that phase are the muscles around your mouth and in your lips. They are usually very tight so that the food doesn't escape your mouth, and they also help grab the food that you're putting into your mouth. And then the muscles in your cheeks and jaw help to keep the food from pooling in the side of your cheeks when you're chewing as well. And then finally, the most important part is your tongue, and that's the part that's moving the food around in your mouth during chewing, and it helps to move the food back farther into the mouth when you're about ready to swallow it into your throat. The next phase is, I have another picture so you can see it a little bit better, because these phases include when the food is starting to go into your throat, and that's harder for us to kind of visualize sometimes. So I have this nice picture of the next 3 phases. This first picture is of what we call the oral phase. So this is when food is entering the very first part of your throat. So this includes when the tongue pushes up against the top of your mouth, and you'll notice the back of your tongue would lower so that there's a lot of space back there for the food to keep going back into your throat. So important parts of the body, obviously the tongue, we just talked about that. It applies the pressure to the food to push it back farther and farther into your throat, like that picture shows. See how the food can go all the way back. And then other important things that you might not have thought of before are the muscles that are actually in the back of your nose as well. Those muscles need to contract so that they close off the airway, so that when you swallow you don't get food in your nose. And then again, the muscles in the lips and the cheeks, they help keep the mouth closed very tight when you're swallowing, so that the food again doesn't come out, but also so that the pressure stays tight, so that the food keeps moving back instead of coming back forward. So then we moved the food to the back of the throat. Now we're in this third stage called the pharyngeal stage. It's a big word, but this is the point when the food is transitioning from moving kind of back to when it's starting to turn the corner and move down. And this part is completely automatic, so your brain knows what to do and you don't have to use any voluntary muscles. It just does it for you. And that's nice, because this is a really important part where muscles are closing off your actual airway into your lungs, so that it doesn't go down there and instead can go down your esophagus. So really important part, and it's nice that most of it is automatic. The important parts of the body that are activated now are the muscles in the jaw. They help keep the jaw stable so that the food can rest back on the back of your tongue until it's ready to be swallowed. And then the tongue does it automatically rolls the food back into the throat. And then the muscles in the top part of your throat start being activated automatically and in order from top to bottom. So Once the food gets into the top part of the throat, the back of the tongue is pushed against the back of your throat, and that opens up the next muscle. The next muscle relaxes, and the food moves down, and then that top muscle contracts, and the next muscle relaxes. So it just works in order like that. A contract, and then expand, contract, expand, so that the food can keep moving down your throat. And then, as I've mentioned briefly before, there's also the important muscles that are closing off the airway, because those two pathways are both in the same area. So it's important that those muscles are contracted so that you're not getting any food or liquid into your lungs. All right, and then we're ready to move to the last phase. So we've turned the corner. We're just passing where you would breathe, so that airway is closed off. The food is passing through. And now this is the last phase, the esophageal phase. And this phase is just completely automatic, and it's when the food has moved down far enough so that it's entering your esophagus. And so it's completely automatic, and it'll move the food from your throat down into your stomach. So the important parts of the body that are working now are the muscles in the upper part of your esophagus, so a little bit lower than the last stage, but and then they work in a similar way to the ones in the last stage too, where it's automatic and in order like that, so that the food can keep moving down. Other important parts, since it is a completely automatic process, the nerves that are connected to the muscles in the esophagus are important now, because they send like sensory information so that they know how much strength the muscle is going to need and how much speed is needed to get that food that you have in your throat down. So it'll be different for whatever. Sorry, those are the dogs. Mia, hey. Awesome. Okay. Mom's gonna go fix that. But basically, so the nerves are really important in the esophagus to send sensory information so that you know how much power you need for the food that you've swallowed to get it down to the stomach. And then finally, the other important part is the muscles at the very bottom of the esophagus, the ones that are connected to the stomach. Those ones are contracting as well, so that that reflux that's in your stomach that digests your food doesn't come up into your esophagus, because that can be damaging to your esophagus. And I believe that's the whole thing. So there you go.
Interesting.
Any questions?
No.
Okay.
Now I know how swallowing works.
Great.
Thanks,
Mom.
Emily.
Yeah.